wake-up call. Real power doesn't shout. It doesn't need to. It moves quietly, steadily, like the tides pulling the ocean back from the shore. You don't see it coming, but when it arrives, everything is different. We've been sold a lie. That power is loud, showy, flamboyant. That it's about being seen, going viral, getting attention. But the truth is this. The more real your power becomes, the less you feel the need to display it. Because when you possess it, you don't chase proof. You are the proof. Real power doesn't crave applause. It's too busy building legacies. It doesn't demand validation. It already knows. And it never begs the world to notice, because the world will notice when it must. You see, power isn't about the noise you make in the room. It's about how the room changes when you enter it and when you leave it. The mindset shift from external to internal power. The weak chase visibility. The strong chase alignment. If your mind is pulled in 10 directions, if your emotions are dictated by other people, if your confidence depends on someone else's opinion, you don't have power. You're borrowing energy from chaos, and chaos doesn't repay. Real power begins when you turn inward. When you stop trying to control outcomes and start mastering inputs, your thoughts, your focus, your discipline, your character. Because everything begins there. Henry Ford once said, "Whether you think you can or you think you can't, you're right." It wasn't just a clever phrase. It was a warning. Your belief system is the foundation of your reality. The mind doesn't respond to what's true. It responds to what's repeated. Tell it long enough that you're not enough, and it will build a life to prove you right. But shift that story just slightly, and you shift everything. The powerful don't think they're lucky. They believe they are responsible for their effort, their attitude, their outcomes. And that belief becomes their fuel, the discipline of thought, building the inner fortress. To wield real power, you must first govern the kingdom of your own thoughts. The average person's mind is an open field. Any opinion, distraction, or fear is free to walk in. But the powerful, their mind is a fortress. Every belief must earn its place. Every thought must serve the vision. They do not allow gossip to settle in their hearts. They do not let fear call the shots. And they do not invite comparison to sit at their table. You'll never see a lion compare himself to the sheep. He knows what he is. That's what real power feels like. The quiet certainty that you were built for more. And the daily discipline to prove it to yourself. Clarity, the weapon of the focused. The world isn't suffering from a lack of intelligence. It's drowning in distraction. Most people don't fail because they're incapable. They fail because they're scattered, pulled in 1,000 directions, constantly reacting, never deciding. But clarity? Clarity is a weapon. Clarity cuts through noise. Clarity silences doubt. You want to rise above the crowd? Get ruthlessly clear on what you're building. Write it. See it. Speak it in the silence of your morning. Let it burn behind your eyes when no one is watching. And then protect that clarity like your life depends on it. Because it does. Without a clear vision, you'll live a life of reaction. But with it, you become unstoppable. You become someone others feel but can't quite explain, because they're still trying to understand how you move with such purpose in a world that constantly drifts. Vision and purpose, the fire that doesn't flicker. There's a power that outlasts motivation. It's called purpose. Motivation is emotionate, changes with the weather. Purpose is identity. It survives the storm. Real power doesn't just want a goal. It needs a mission. Because when your life is driven by a why that shakes your bones, excuses don't survive. They burn in the heat of that purpose. Carnegie had it. Edison had it. So did Mandela, Jobs, and every single soul who altered the shape of human history. They weren't just talented. They were possessed by vision. And here's the truth. You don't find purpose by thinking. You find it by doing. by showing up, by trying, by building, breaking, and rebuilding again. Purpose reveals itself to the committed not, the curious. So what are you committed to? What fire refuses to go out, no matter how tired, how uncertain, or how alone you feel? Because that's the birthplace of power. Action over exposure. Move in silence, build in private. We live in a time where people mistake visibility for progress, where announcing your goals feels more rewarding than achieving them, where people post their ambitions to get applause instead of results. But real power doesn't beg for validation. It doesn't leak energy trying to impress. It builds in silence and lets the outcome do the talking. Don't talk about it, be about it. The moment you say, I'm going to start a business, your brain releases dopamine as if you already did it. But that feeling is false. It's a trap. You haven't earned anything. And now that tiny dose of recognition just stole the fuel you needed to act. The powerful understand this. They don't move for praise, they move with precision. They stay in the dark until they're undeniable. They don't need to convince you, they'll show you when it's done. Abraham Lincoln didn't announce greatness. He wrote by candlelight, read in silence, and trained his mind in the background so that when the weight of a broken nation landed on his shoulders, he was ready. Power doesn't show off, it prepares. So prepare in silence, and let your results echo in places your voice hasn't even reached yet. Resilience, the inner steel that cannot be broken. You can't fake resilience, and you can't buy it. It's earned every time life pushes, and you refuse to fall. You want to know the difference between those who rise and those who fade? It's not intelligence. It's not talent. It's how fast they recover from a hit. Real power is not about never being knocked down. It's about how fast you stand back up with your eyes still locked on the mission. Because here's what they don't tell you. You will be hit. You will be misunderstood. You will be doubted. You will be tested. People will question your motives, your dreams, your pace, your silence. Let them. Your silence is your strength. Your scars are your armor. And your ability to keep going when no one claps, that is the birthplace of power. Thomas Edison failed 0 times to create the light bulb. But he didn't see them as failures, he saw them as steps. Every failure was data. Every rejection was a redirect. That's power. Using the fall to fuel the rise. So stop fearing setbacks. Start collecting them. Each one is proof that you're in the game and that you're growing. Emotional discipline. The warrior's calm. Real power is calm. It's not reactive. It doesn't explode. It doesn't flinch. It chooses. While others are ruled by emotion, the powerful command it. They don't deny feelings. They direct them. They feel fear, but move anyway. They feel anger, but wait to respond. They feel pressure, but stay focused. It's not about suppressing emotion. It's about mastering your response. There's a world of difference between a man who feels anger and hits something and a man who feels anger, breathes, processes, and then speaks a single sentence that changes the room. The former is noise. The latter is power. In moments of chaos, the calmest person in the room controls it. Why? Because power gravitates toward composure. Because people trust strength, they can feel not loudness, they can hear. So, if you want to be powerful, train yourself to pause. Take 3 breaths before reacting. Give your mind space to decide, not just react. That tiny moment, that's the difference between war and peace, failure and victory. Strategic focus, the art of doing less better. You don't get power by doing more. You get it by doing less, but with more force. We've been brainwashed to think success is about being busy, saying yes, having 20 projects. But the truth? That's the fast track to average. The powerful know. Focus is the new superpower. They eliminate. They subtract. They simplify. Because the fewer things they give their time to, the more intense their impact becomes. Look at Steve Jobs. One of the first things he did when returning to Apple was cut product lines drastically. Why? Because scattered energy builds clutter. But focused energy builds empires. So ask yourself, what's stealing your energy without returning it? What tasks feel productive but keep you stuck? What could you cut today to double your momentum? This is the discipline of focus. This is real power. You don't need more time. You need fewer distractions and more commitment to the essential. The inner circle, power in who you let in. You are not just the product of your thoughts. You are the product of your conversations. Your circle is either building your vision or bleeding it. The powerful are ruthless about proximity. They don't let just anyone speak into their future. They choose people who challenge their limitations, not people who comfort their excuses. Earl Nightingale called it the mastermind principally group of minds aligned around a single purpose, each one elevating the others. This isn't networking. It's not casual friendship. It's a mission-aligned alliance. So look around. Who's raising your standard? Who's calling you to rise? Who sees your blind spots and has the courage to point them out? And just as important, who do you need to release? Because every time you tolerate low standards in your circle, you dilute your own. That's not cruelty, that's clarity. And clarity is power.